Today on Sports Talk Philadelphia, the Birds get a big overtime win over the boys in Jerry World. We'll break down the Eagles' huge primetime victory. Plus, Sam Bradford actually played pretty well this past week. Is he the chosen one for Chip Kelly's championship destiny? But before all that, our own Tommy McIntyre sits down with a successful alum that gets significant time on air, proving once again that the LaSalle Communication Department is the best program around. Interested? Of course you are. Get comfortable, because Sports Talk Philadelphia starts right now. Let's go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to Sports Talk Philadelphia. I am your host, Tyler Harper. We are getting into the swing of things here in STP season. Already week 8, which, I mean, I don't know if I'm surprised that there's only been 8 shows or if it's been really fast. But anyway, we're just going to keep getting right into it. And we've got a little bit of a treat for you today. Later on, we've got Isaac Perry and we've got Kevin Cook coming on to talk some Philadelphia Eagles because, of course, there was a big win in Dallas in overtime. But first, our own Tommy McIntyre this past week sat down with a LaSalle alum, Mike Garafolo, who is now the NFL insider at Fox Sports 1. Of course, Mike Garafolo, again, is a LaSalle alum who has really been successful in this business and recently got honored at LaSalle's Night of Shining Stars. So let's get right to it. Here's Tommy McIntyre interviewing Mike Garafolo. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Tom McIntyre Jr., and you're joining us for this segment called Behind the Mic. Currently, I'm with Mike Garafolo. He is an NFL insider for Fox Sports 1. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining.
Behind the mic, like behind me? Behind the mic?
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So let's get right to it. So you are currently working with Fox Sports 1. Yep. This is started August 2013. That's kind of when Fox Sports 1 started. Mm-hmm. What's that been like?
It's been an interesting thing, Tom, because when you're building a network from scratch, you're going to try a lot of things, and a lot of things are going to change over time, and you're going to try and find your voice. So it's been really cool to work with a network and see it take off from the ground up. I've never had that experience before. I've worked in newspapers. I've worked in TV with other networks that were already built. But to be in on the ground floor of a network that is building its way up and it's pointing in one direction, everything has been positive for us lately, has been a trip. It's been a real blast.
And so talking about that, how did you, you obviously worked in previous places. You worked for your longest with the New York Giants, being a beat writer for the New York Giants from 2004 to 2011. How did you go from that to being now at Fox Sports 1? Did you get offered the job? Did you apply for the Fox Sports 1? Or how did that kind of come about?
It's actually an interesting story. The guy that hired me at the newspaper made the transition to another area of News Corp, which owns Fox. And he went and did he was an editor for The Daily, which was Rupert Murdoch's attempt to take a newspaper and adapt it to the tablet. This was going to be your daily newspaper on your tablet. Didn't really go that well, and it folded, but he stayed within the company and moved over. When they launched Fox Sports 1, he had the opportunity to go there as one of the news directors, and he said, why don't you come along with me? Now, I had done TV before. I'd actually done TV here. This is where it started, back when I was in college here at LaSalle 56. But I did a little TV elsewhere off of that beat writing job with a local New York outlet called Sportsnet New York SNY. So I did some TV for them, and having dual experience allowed me to make that jump over to Fox. And like I said, I was at Fox a month and a half before the network started. So to see everything bare bones and get it going, again, that was a real blast.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned other previous jobs you've had. So running for the beat writer for the Giants. You worked for the Associated Press in Philly. Was that mostly all sports, kind of just like
I did everything. And that was a great experience too. And I would recommend for someone like yourself to get out there and say, how is football covered? How is baseball covered? How is basketball covered? Because they all have a different flow to them as far as when locker room access is, how you relate to the guys. And it's different from sport to sport. I mean, in baseball, you're in the locker room for 3 hours before the game, just kind of hanging out there, and the players see you, and they come in, and you're there. They leave, they come back, you're still there. So the dynamic is different from football, which I cover now, which is you go into the locker room, you get what you need, and then you're booted out of there. So it's not that same kind of intrusive thing with baseball. So that allows you to relate to the players and understand what they expect from you versus if you're covering a different sport.
Absolutely. So mentioned, so you also work for USA Today. You actually worked in Philly also in a radio produced the radio station WIP 610 AM.
Yeah.
So what are all these experiences? How have they led you to where you are today?
Well, it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop.
It keeps going, and I've got different avenues, whereas radio and TV and print. And I like doing all of them. That's why I've kind of taken these different avenues, because I don't see myself as doing one thing. And if you allow yourself to do different things and you have that different experience, again, it opens up these opportunities. Well, you're here and you kind of take it here and you don't really feel like there's enough growth there. So, let me go try something different. Other fields, you don't get that.
Absolutely.
If you're an accountant, you're an accountant all the way. And that's why I was really attracted to being a mass comm major when I was here, just because so much goes into it. There's so many different aspects of our industry. I love that. And again, I'm sitting here right now, and in 10 years, could be a completely different thing. We could be talking about 4 more different ways that I went about things. That's why I love this field, and the way it continues to grow as you get the new technology and the new ways to get your news and opinion out there. It's a fascinating time in our industry.
So you mentioned LaSalle. You are a LaSalle alum. You graduate with a bachelor's degree in mass communication. What drew you to LaSalle as a school when you were growing up?
You got my whole rap sheet there?
I do. I got the bio.
You didn't even look at the paper,
I didn't look.
too. That's
I know
impressive,
Yeah,
man.
thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm trying to be where you are, so that's what I got to do.
Well, what drew me here was I looked at the bigger schools. I looked at the bigger programs. I looked at the smaller programs. And this was a good mix of one of the bigger programs that I looked at. They said, well, you can come in here, and it's a prestigious communication school. You won't touch any of the equipment until you're in your junior year. Now, junior is not just part of your last name. You're a junior right now,
yes.
Right? That's pretty clever. You're sitting here at the desk. I'm sure you've been working the cameras and doing all that kind of stuff. You get that ability to do that here, and that's what I saw right away when I visited here, along with just a terrific faculty. And I just felt that comfort level and that ability to get in here, start getting your hands on things, because it's not like you're here for 4 years and then it's time to go out there. You've got to start doing it while you're still in college. And again, the fact that you're sitting here doing this, working in an awesome studio, it's only getting more awesome over the years. I'm telling you, some of the stuff, some of the bells and whistles you got here, we didn't have. We never had mugs.
There you go.
This is great.
That's good. So basically, you mentioned working in LaSalle TV. You were you a producer and a host of Backstage Pass, or just a host?
I did a little bit of both, yeah.
You did a little bit of both?
Along with Liz Morris, two legendary, and Justin Peticolas, 2 legends of LaSalle 56.
Now LaSalle TV.
Hope they're watching
We
at
dropped the 56 now.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, so it's just LaSalle TV.
My bad.
It's all good. So basically, you also worked for the radio station here today. I don't know at LaSalle. I don't know during your time if it was actually like a radio station on like the actual you had an actual channel.
It was.
We no longer have that here, unfortunately. Now we're like online. But what was that like being in the radio field?
Well, that's part of that technology changing. A lot of podcasts and all these things that are happening in this industry. Just because you're not on the airwaves doesn't mean you can't get out there. I did actually the basketball broadcast. I did a little sideline reporting, or courtside reporting, I guess you could call it there. And that was a great experience too, because you're on the air in Philadelphia with a broadcast that was going out there. It's not like you were just taking reps in the corner and nobody was seeing you, or in class. And that's what I loved about here. Everything you did, the pressure was on right away to be at your best, or be as good as you could be. I mean, obviously it was good experience, and you couldn't expect to be a polished TV person or a radio person once you stepped in there. But the ability to do that, know that people were out there listening, and my parents were out there watching and critiquing me and listening and saying, boy, I love this, I love this. They weren't too negative with it. There was always the positive things that I did, which was good. But to have that experience right away, that was great.
All right, let's talk a little bit the fact that you grew up in South Philly. I'm guessing you were a huge sports fan, obviously, now that you're covering sports. What was it like to basically live right next to the vet, live next to you have all the stadiums right there?
Yeah.
Was that exciting as a kid
great.
growing up?
It was great. I walked to the vet, and there were $1 general admission tickets. $1. I mean, I feel like I'm talking to you, and I'm saying, like, we used to walk uphill to school both ways in the snow, that kind of stuff. But it was $1 you'd get in. You could sit anywhere except for like the sections behind the plate up in the 700 level. But it was great because you could sit down the third base line or the first base line. And you go to the business person specials and you'd have any seat that you wanted because a lot of people weren't going. And then they go to the World Series in '93. And they raised the ticket price to $5 in '94. A 500% raise for me at 14 years old. That was a killer. I couldn't go to as many games. But that was great. I mean, I had that experience of going to games, of being around the facilities. We knew a lot of people that worked in the stadiums and the arenas, so I could get in there and do some stuff there and just get to see a lot of things firsthand. So that was awesome. I wouldn't trade that for anything. Growing up in the city and growing up around the vet, you don't find any facilities like that anymore. That was hardcore, man.
Another personal question, I guess. Who was your biggest influence growing up? Maybe family-wise, maybe in the field of journalism. Who really inspired you to want to go in this field?
I read all those guys in. My dad wasn't a big sports fan. Okay. My uncles were, but I read all the guys in the Daily News and a lot of the guys that are still there. Dick Girardi.
Okay.
I'm blanking on names already.
It's okay. I know what you mean. There's a lot.
Les Bowen. I was
Les
reading
Bowen.
as a kid, and now I'm working alongside these guys, which is really. Weird. Rich Hoffman. These guys were great. Sam Donnell. I read all these guys growing up. And the Philly Daily News, with so much turnover in our business, it's amazing to see these guys that I grew up reading are still covering the team. And I love the Daily News. I read the Inquirer too, but I love the Daily News. That was my sports section, and that really got me thinking about what do I want to do in this field. And WIP had just started when I got into my teens, and I listened to Steve Fredericks, the late Steve Fredericks. It was, I worked with him, and I loved working for him. We used to talk about sports and life and everything. He was great. And Mike Missinelli, I used to listen to their afternoon show every day. And I thought, well, these guys are getting paid to talk about sports. And every now and then I have to take a step back and say, that's what I'm getting. I'm paid to talk about sports. It's still a job. But I would come home, and my wife, who's in the financial industry, would come home and say, why are you watching sports? You did sports all day long. And I said, because I want to. This is fun. She says, I don't come home and watch CNBC. I said, well, this is because I'm doing what I loved. And she always tells me, you're meant to do what you're doing right now. And I'm lucky that I was able to follow that path.
I guess my last question, you talk about how much you love sports. I guess I would have to ask you one sports question. Who do you feel right now? I mean, it's still early on in the season. We still got a long way to go. But when playoff time comes around, who are your teams that are going to be those guys at the end of the season?
I like what the Bengals are doing right now. I just, until you can see it happen, nobody's going to be a believer, right?
They haven't won a playoff game in so many years.
And here's and here's what I love about the Patriots. They're going about their business right now. I thought it was going to be like the Spygate year, where they really wanted to rub everybody's noses in it, but they're really going about things quietly and professionally, and they're not using revenge so much as, let's look forward from this issue that we had here with the Deflategate situation. So what they're doing right now is really impressive, and I hope it's a Patriots-Packers matchup, something like that, where you get the two top teams and two teams that can really put some points up. That'd be a great Super Bowl.
Well, Mike, I really appreciate it for you coming on.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks so much.
Can I keep
talking
them up?
to you. Absolutely. I mean, probably not, but you can enjoy the rest of your water. So that does it for Behind the Mic. I really appreciate, once again, Mike Garfalo for coming on. Let's send it back to the desk.
All right, thank you very much, Tommy. Great interview right there. And, of course, Mike Garafolo now starting from only Backstage Pass and now moving on to becoming the NFL insider for Fox Sports 1. So there you have it, folks. LaSalle Communication Program. Best in the business. All right, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, I have Isaac Perry and Kevin Cook on, and we're going to talk some birds. Stay tuned.
If you keep tanning, indoors or out, the effects of harmful rays will show up on your skin. Wrinkles, age spots, and an increased risk of skin cancer, including melanoma. the deadliest form of skin cancer, and the second most common cancer in women 15 to 29. Stop tanning. Time may not be on your side. Learn how to protect your skin at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Welcome back to Sports Talk Philadelphia, and now we are moving on into Eagles talk. But first, let me introduce my panel. I've got Isaac Perry and I've got Kevin Cook here to talk some Philadelphia Eagles. And what a time to talk Philadelphia Eagles, huh? Well, one, a win, and two, a thrilling win over the over the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. Obviously, huge Sunday Night Football. Let's take a look at how that went down. 33-27 win in overtime. Matt Castle. I don't know what it is about Matt Castle against the Eagles. 25 for 38, near 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and, of course, 1 interception, which we'll talk about a little later. Cole Beasley just awaking out of nowhere. 9 catches, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Ryan Matthews having himself, again, a pretty decent game. 11 carries, 67 yards, and a touchdown. Let's be clear here. As thrilling as this win was over Dallas, again, in Dallas, in overtime, primetime TV. This win wasn't the prettiest, but still, how great is it to be able to kind of redeem yourself for that Week 2 just debacle here in Philly against Dallas?
Well, my opinion, a win is a win. First of all, we'll take it any way we can get it. I was definitely impressed for the most part with how the Eagles played. I still felt like the offense left a couple plays out there on the field, but hopefully they get those things corrected in time for the game this week. But if they can finally put together 60 good minutes of football, I really don't see any team in the NFL that can really stop them. I still have them winning the division.
Kevin?
Yeah, I think that win was a huge win for the Eagles. Dallas now with the injury, with Romo still being injured, they're not looking too good for the rest of the year. They still got the Giants to contend with, and the Redskins are kind of sticking around right now. But really a huge win for the Eagles. And the biggest stat that you didn't even say was Jordan Matthews, 9 catches, no drops. And
We're going to get to Jordan in a little bit.
And they didn't really have that many drops to begin with, like the whole team.
Yeah, there were some that got a little annoying.
Yeah, some. I counted like 3 that definitely should have been caught. Ryan Matthews had one. Miles Austin had another. And then I'm blanking on whoever had the third one. It was Josh Huff down in the end zone when it hit off his helmet.
He's been a
but
disappointment, God.
yes, this year he hasn't performed like I wish he could or would have. But altogether, it's definitely a big win for the Eagles, and hopefully they can turn it around.
Yeah, and I think you guys kind of both alluded to, this game, again, as satisfying as it was to beat Dallas, especially in overtime in their house, this game was not without flaws. The one I want to bring up is what was up with the secondary in this game? This secondary was not the same ball-hawking secondary that we were used to, allowing a good amount of plays. Unfortunately, it was Malcolm Jenkins who fell victim to both of those Cole Beasley touchdowns, and just late in the game, leaving a lot of people open. I wasn't really too thrilled with the secondary in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, you actually let Cole Beasley go off way too much. He's not even a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL, and you let him go off for 2 touchdowns. I think the secondary played okay. I mean, obviously the Byron Maxwell, both pass interference calls were totally bogus. I didn't see any pass interference plays on them.
Yeah, on the second one, there definitely wasn't anything.
Yeah, plus the one touchdown that Des Bryant had in the air, that was just a kind of
that was a freak play.
A moment thing. It was a freak play, like you just said. So
yeah, but I mean, like that. What are you going to do about that? I mean, maybe he did push off, but it's still a miracle that he jumped out of that pile and made that
Came
catch.
down with it too, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the secondary didn't play horrible, but as he said, Maxwell, the two, they definitely could have played better. But the thing, Malcolm Jenkins actually came out today that he was concussed. He was concussed in like the second quarter, just didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And he played through that. Obviously, we don't want everybody to do that because it's very dangerous. But with that being said, he was going up against Cole Beasley, who's not a talented receiver. He's just a Danny Amendola or a Julian Edelman type receiver that runs a good route, gets open. He's so small, it's hard to tackle him. And that's really all he is. He's a possession receiver, and you saw him beat Malcolm Jenkins a number of times. Also, he's a slot receiver, And the Eagles lost their, well, they traded away Boykin, and then they lost their starting slot corner early in preseason. So,
well, for the Jenkins situation, I'm actually kind of happy that he stayed in the game per se, because if Jenkins goes out of the game, you already know Matt Castle, like, he's not a dumb quarterback. He's going to try and test that secondary now, especially with him on the sideline. But like I said, I'm not trying to see anybody get hurt, and plus Malcolm Jenkins is that important to our football team. So, you know, it is what it is.
But still, that's scary dealing with concussions in general. But thankfully, it seems that he's okay now. He's practicing this week. But let's move on to the player of the week, and it is Sam Bradford, much to Kevin Cook's chagrin over there with his fantasy football team. But let's look at Sam's stats. 25 for 36, 295 yards, 1 touchdown pass, but no interceptions, 103.4 QB rating. Finally looking like the guy that we thought we were trading for. And the thing I like most about Sam Bradford, too, and Kevin, we'll start with you on this, was his quick release. He wasn't holding the ball a lot like he has been the past few weeks, holding it too long, getting sacked. Yes, sometimes when he gets sacked, the offensive line could have done a better job of stopping the hole, but even so, like, Sam Bradford, he had to release the ball quicker, but he did that in Dallas this past Sunday night. So, Kevin, obviously, I'm sure you like what you saw, but do we think he can keep this up?
Definitely. You saw it especially on the winning touchdown pass that he had to Jordan Matthews. Hardy just inches away from deflecting that ball basically out of Sam Bradford's hand, but Sam, he was a little bit faster, as you said, with his release this week, and it resulted with a victory. He's starting to turn it around, I think, and the receivers catching the ball is helping him out too.
Isaac, your thoughts on Sam?
Yeah, he had his best game of the year by a landslide. I am not too quick to call him the franchise of the future, but he will have the chance to build up on it, because over the next couple of weeks, he will be going up against some defenses who aren't very good against the pass in Miami, Tampa Bay, and Detroit. So he'll have plenty more opportunities to go out there and do what he did last Sunday.
All right, I completely agree with that. And let's look at his main receiving target, because finally looking like a #1 receiver is Jordan Matthews. 9 catches on 12 targets, no drops, as Kevin mentioned, 133 yards, and, of course, the game-winning touchdown. Going into the bye week, Jordan Matthews knew the pressure that was on him. He knew a lot. He dropped a lot of passes that he should have caught. Again, not necessarily having a bad year, but just a lot of key drops that didn't add up. But now it seems like he's back to normal, and for the most part, it seems like, after the game, he said, "I'm just doing my job. That's my job. I'm going to go do it." Really hard to argue with that. So, Isaac, is this finally the #1 receiver we thought Jordan Matthews was going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, with Bradford, he will have plenty more opportunities over these next couple of weeks to really build up on that. He even said it himself. That's his job. He expects to go out there every single week and have those kind of games. So he'll have more chances, absolutely.
Yeah. And now moving on to the defensive side of the ball, another Jordan Hicks, who, despite the fact that, let's look at his rookie stats here, he's had a great rookie year, I should say. 50 combined tackles, a sack, 2 interceptions, of course, one of them being taken back for a touchdown. Now out for the season with a pectoral injury. Kevin, how much does this hurt, the fact that he was basically our best defensive player as a rookie and now out for the year?
Yeah, it's a real shame that he got hurt, but the Eagles have a deep linebacking core. We didn't really expect him to do much this year to begin with. Hopefully we can get D'Amico back this week, and we got Kiko and Michael Kendricks as well. So.
All right, well, now looking ahead to next week, let's take a look at our prediction polls here. Of course, the Eagles playing the Miami Dolphins, coming back at home. I've got the Eagles winning 21-10. It'll probably be somewhat of a low-scoring affair. Miami's defense is better than people give it credit for, but I've got Connor Barwin as my MVP. He's been having good games. He's been getting pressure, but I think he needs a couple stacks to really set the tone for this Eagles defense. But now we got Isaac Perry, 27-14 Birds. DeMarco Murray, real quick, as your MVP. What do you got?
Worst rush defense in the league, he goes off.
All right, you know what? Fair enough. And Kevin Cook, you also have the Eagles winning 31-20, and of course, you've got your boy Sam Bradford as your standout star. Take us through it real quick.
Yeah, I'm standing by Sam. I think that he's going to use this Dallas game as a stepping stone and kind of blow up this week as we head in to play Miami.
Hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Absolutely. Let's keep this momentum going and let's get a true contender out of the NFC East. But now it's on to the Fast Five. Of course, everyone's favorite segment here. Kevin Cook, we're going to start with you. There are rumors that the Phillies are shopping around Ken Giles. Kind of interesting, seeing as they just traded that other closer in around the All-Star break last year. What are your thoughts on the Phillies possibly trading Giles?
I think that you definitely have to listen to offers for Ken Giles, and if you can get a good return, you probably should take the deal. But with that being said, if they don't want to meet your requirements, then you don't have to do anything. He's not eligible for arbitration until 2018, I think, and I think he's only 25, 26. So he's definitely a young player that you could build around if you choose to do so.
I hope they build around him. He's very talented, and obviously that not only that 100-mile-per-hour fastball, but that fast slider to go with it. If he can get that under control and really learn how to aim those pitches, he's going to be a star. All right, Isaac, little brief on this, but how great has T.J. McConnell been for the Sixers so far? Just kind of coming out of the woodwork, but being a good, at least a somewhat solid point guard for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the point guard of the future, but he's been solid. He's giving you 6 points and 7 assists a game. So
Yeah.
so you know, something.
Hey, something to keep an eye on,
Yep.
at least a little bit. Kevin, Jake Voracek still hasn't had a goal yet this season. How concerning is this for the Flyers?
It's definitely a big concern because he's one of your leading players. He's one of your
Absolutely.
best players. And I was talking about him a couple weeks ago with you. But the Flyers need Voracek to kind of step it up in order to start winning these games because Giroux can't do it on his own. The rest of the team, they need another goal scorer to go along with.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. And Isaac, you kind of mentioned this a little earlier, so now I'm really interested to hear your answer. Will Sam Bradford be an Eagle next season? I know it's a lot to think of now, but
No, I don't think he is. 7 games into the season, he finally had his best game of the year. But like I said, he will have opportunities. I think his biggest game on the schedule will probably be that Patriots game.
all right, we'll see what happens in that Patriots game. And then finally, Kevin Cook, will the Sixers and Flyers win more than one combined game, unlike kind of like how they did this week, before next week's Sports Talk Philadelphia?
I guess, yeah. I mean,
I hope so,
the Sixers
right?
have to stumble themselves on the one sooner or later.
Yeah, and I mean the Flyers, one game, one win over the past week.
Yeah, it's been a very rough week in Philly.
Yeah, that it has. But you could keep up with us on Sports Talk Philadelphia on social media because who doesn't like to watch interesting sports? But you can keep up with us on social media, facebook.com/SportsTalkPhiladelphia, at LaSalle TV Philly on Twitter. You can hit us up on email, full episodes up on YouTube, and of course, LaSalle.edu/LaSalle TV. Remember to never stop exploring. All right, thank you to Kevin, thank you to Isaac, and thank you again to Tommy McIntyre for that really fantastic interview with Mike Arafolo. But we will see you next time on Sports Talk Philadelphia. I'm Tyler Harper. Thank you for watching.